How's it going, Jack Tackers? And oh wow, welcome back to another video for you guys. Today I'm going to be doing my review for Barry Season 4, Episode 8, which was titled Wow. Okay, so this is obviously the series finale of the show, and I just finished watching it literally a few minutes ago. So these are my instant thoughts. Was this a good ending? I actually saw a few people, I already did a little, online digging. I saw some people say that it was kind of conflicting to them. They couldn't exactly decipher if they liked it or not. But then I saw a lot of praise for the finale as well. Now, my thoughts on this episode are, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I mean, definitely like on its own as an episode, it was pretty fantastic. And I think honestly, it just comes down to the fact that I am in utter shock right now. And yeah, I liked it. I didn't think it was terrible or anything, completely ruins the show or whatnot. I never thought it was going to be a bad finale. But, my expectations, I tried to have them in check. And I think overall that paid off. First of all, it was very sad, and coming off the Succession finale, which was also incredibly sad, this one was yet another punch to the gut. And I'll tell you right now, this wasn't exactly how I expect the show to go down. But that's kind of what I love about this show. It's completely unpredictable, at least in my opinion. If you somehow predicted every single thing that happened in this episode, well, you're probably one of the writers. But it was just very unpredictable all throughout, and it didn't really go the way I thought it was going to. I actually thought maybe, and I guess in a way it does, but I thought maybe Barry was going to kind of have a happy ending. Of course, he ends up, spoiler alert, dying in the episode, but he's kind of remembered in Hollywood forever as a hero. Now, we'll talk about that a bit later in this review, a bit more about that, but let's just kind of go through the episode. So basically, Hank calls Fuchs to tell him he can get Barry for him. But then when Fuchs gets to NoHo Ball, he's upset when he sees Barry isn't there. And then Barry isn't showing up yet, but Barry basically goes to like the Walmart or wherever to get guns, and then he's on his way there. But then Fuchs is trying to get Hank to kind of admit that he killed Cristobal. He got Cristobal killed, and Hank's pretty torn about this situation and breaks down. That was very emotional as well, even though I do believe Hank is, well, he's obviously not a good guy, but it still was very sad to see him kind of break down in that moment. And then he's just kind of like, screw this, and opens fire on, on Fuchs and all of his men. All of his men end up dying pretty much, or at least, well, they're pretty injured. And Hank ends up taking a bullet to, the chest. And that was incredibly shocking. Also, John and Sally are in this scene, but Fuchs actually saves John. And he kind of redeems himself in a weird way. I mean, I don't think Fuchs is completely... There's a lot of themes of redemption in this show, and especially in this finale. I don't think Fuchs obviously 100% redeemed himself, because he's done a lot of bad stuff. But he did save John. Fuchs, honestly, low-key got the best... Well... I don't know, man. Did he get redeemed because he went to prison? And then I don't know, though. But Fuchs kind of got the best ending out of all the characters in a weird way. Because now he just has that house, doesn't he? I don't know. But long story short, Hank ends up dying right next to the statue of Cristobal. And that was very emotional. I didn't want Hank to die, but it made sense. I was very sad to see him go. I knew someone was going to die. And, of course, Hank isn't the only one to die in this episode. So after all this, we see, obviously, Fuchs saves John, as I mentioned. Sally's okay as well. And then Barry shows up, and he prays to God. He's like, I'm going to die tonight. Watch over me, yada, yada, yada. And then Barry sees Fuchs and realizes that it's over. John's safe. Sally's safe. And that one final look Barry and Fuchs shared definitely reminded me of, like, Walter and Jesse's final look that they had in Breaking Bad. That look Walt and Jesse have is just like very emotional. There's a lot of history between those two characters. So it reminded me of Walt and Jesse, the Fuchs and Barry moment where they look at each other. That was very sweet to a degree. And I don't think did Fuchs ever really want to kill Barry, or what was going on with that whole situation? Because Barry, was wanted by Fuchs. So I don't know if Fuchs actually wanted it. Maybe he realized once he saw Barry, he didn't want to kill him anymore. I don't know. Maybe I think it's because he realized he had a son. Okay, that makes sense. Sorry, I'm an idiot. Yeah, he realized once Barry had a kid that he didn't want to kill him anymore. Okay, that makes sense. But then Barry and Sally and John all go to the hotel, and Sally thinks Barry should turn himself in, so Gene won't have to go to prison, because Gene's in hot water right now with Jim Moss, and everyone thinks that Gene kind of manipulated Barry to kill Janice. Barry thinks he's been redeemed, though, because he thinks God watched over him. Barry's so stupid, man. He thinks God watched over him and didn't let him die for a reason. And then Sally's kind of like annoyed by this, so her and John leave. And then he wakes up, Barry, the next morning, goes to Gene's house to look for John and Sally, and then we find that Gene shoots and kills Barry because Gene's had enough. And I was shocked. And that whole moment, I actually expected when Barry was talking to Gene's lawyer, I was actually kind of expecting for Gene to do something. But you hear the gunshot, and I was like, oh, Gene killed himself because he's like, he might go to prison soon or something like that. And then you see the gunshot hit Barry, and it's like, oh, Barry's dead. Incredible. So shocking. And then they do that big reveal. It's funny because there's a popular theory for this ending that people were saying. It's kind of stupid, but people are like, oh, the whole show is actually just a theater production or something, and then it's going to be like a fake out. And they almost do that in this episode. After Gene kills Barry, it pans out and transitions into Sally's theater production at the high school, which in this time skip Sally's working at, I presume, a high school, I'm pretty sure. And that was a really cool transition. But yeah, obviously it was just Sally's, theater performance there, her play, I suppose. So that was a very cool thing that happened there. I almost was like, oh no, are they actually doing that fan theory that people were talking about, where the whole show was actually just a theater play or whatever? That'd have been funny. But then let's talk about the time skip. John and Sally are in a different place, a place where it snows. I don't know if they said in the episode, but it doesn't matter. Sally is basically approached by this teacher there, and she keeps her distance. She doesn't want to have any relationship with him. And her character ending is basically that she will never have another relationship again. She's suffered too much abuse. She's too, far gone, so to speak. So that's kind of sad. But Sally, she also kind of admitted to herself that she was a bad mother. I don't know. There's a lot of themes. Again, a lot of themes of redemption. Has Sally redeemed herself? I don't know. Is John having a better life now that he has friends and stuff and is going to a school and not being, held back by his parents and actually has exposure to the world? I don't know. But to cap things all off, John and his friend, by the way, the actor they got to play John, Jaden Martell, I think his name is, he was one of the kids from It, and he's been in a bunch of movies, Knives Out as well, I think, so that's pretty funny. But John and his friend watch, I think it's called The Mask Collector, the biopic of Barry and Gene. And that whole movie is so misconstrued, it makes it look like Barry is actually a hero and that Gene's a bad guy. And then at the end, we find out that Gene is rotting in prison for the rest of his life because it says Gene Cousineau is in prison for a life sentence, yada, yada, yada. And Barry's buried in, I don't know exactly, I forget where it said, but he's like basically honored by the military now and deemed as a hero, so to speak. So it's very misconstrued. And yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy that this show's over. I could, talk about this ending for a long time, but luckily I am doing a live stream with my friend Darren. So hopefully I'll remember to leave a link to his channel in the description so you guys can watch us talk about this episode. And yeah, so I'm not going to really say much more than this. These are just, this is the brief rundown of the episode and my brief thoughts on everything. And overall, I'll just say I liked it. I do, and I'm going to think about it some more. Maybe my thoughts will change when I actually do the live stream with Darren, but right now, I like it. It's just crazy. That's really what it is. So yeah, I don't want this video to go on for too long, so leaving it at that. So if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and let me hear your thoughts on the episode and the show as a whole down in the comments below. And stay tuned for more Barry videos. This isn't the final Barry video I'll do. I plan on doing a ranking of all the seasons and doing a top 10 episodes for the show. So stay tuned for those two videos, which will be super fun to make. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.